Okay, so I understand with the lighting and everything in this video, it's probably going to be quite a bit grainy, but that's fine. Here's what I'll do. Put this kind of here. I think I'm just going to have like a black image so that I can just look at that and my glasses won't like take up the... Okay, cool, perfect, nice, cool. So, alright. I mean, nothing short of a cancer, right? And once you like recognize kind of that this is the biggest problem within any social group where order is typically maintained pretty easily, like this is the straw that can break the camel's back if there are no fucking straws on it otherwise, you know? It's that easy. They have so much power. So much power. I'd go as far to say the vocal minority is actually the most powerful group in the country that you're in. Pen is mightier than the sword, dude. It's fucking true. You can stack bodies all you want, but if there's one guy that says, hey, why are we stacking bodies? All that does is plant that idea into all the soldiers' heads, and then somebody else will likely stop. Once he stops, you know, the odds become higher with the next guy. That's enough of a problem where it's a problem. Does that make sense? That can kind of go across any realm. Now, when I'm talking vocal minority, I'm talking about, like, specifically, a pretty easy example we could come across is some TikTok that blows up with some guy with no fucking credentials talking about something where he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And he's, like, affirming one position and, you know, castrating another. One, because there's no opportunity for discourse because it's a single person video. And two, because, you know, maybe the claims aren't backed up, or maybe his ethos isn't solidified, or this, that, and the third. And those videos have an effect on people, man. Like a real effect. I forgot what the third thing is that breeds like heavy emotions in people and can make them do almost anything. But the first two are sexual innuendos and controversy. I don't remember what the third one is. There's a third one. But it's like, if you get one of those two things and, you know, advertise it, you could persuade people to either do or believe in something. And the vocal minority is good at this because they're passionate about things that often they're wrong about, or that they don't fully understand, or either way, that they don't open up an avenue for conversation for, which is problematic. The solution is this: critical thinking. Crazy, I know. But, I mean, you have to... I think you just kind of have to, as an individual, be intelligent enough to go, they need to convince me this is true. Not, I'm hearing it, it's true. Does that make sense? They have to present a good, logical, feasible argument as for the reason I should believe in this thing, this idea, this movement, this fucking cause. And if they don't, then don't. It's I think, truly that simple. Like, the vocal minority epidemic. Now, this isn't a domer. Andrew Tate thought of this first, or at least said it first, vocal minority. And I think, probably philosophers like Carl Jung, sorry, I'm saying a lot, that observe the human condition have talked about the effect of the vocal minority. Actually, I know for a fact because I heard it in his audiobook the first, 10 minutes I listened to yesterday. I'm going to try and get through this one. It's pretty short. Well, it's 2 hours, so I could, like, do other shit and listen to it. The thing about audiobooks for me is, like, and books in general, is I read, but I'm a slow fucking reader. So, when I read, like, it's very few and far between, once a day, once every other day. And I read, like, a very little amount of stuff, and I stop when I get to something that affects me. And then I have to think about it. And so when I think, I stop, and, it takes me, like, a long time to think about that thing. Because I want to see if I could observe it. Because usually I read, not usually, exclusively I read nonfiction. So, how the world works and stuff like that. So I read. So I don't even know if I'm doing the right thing. I don't know the rules for reading, but I read like a small amount. And when I get to something that's intriguing to me and that I have to ponder, which is pretty fucking often because I don't know much, then it's like, okay, well, it's like break time. I gotta think about this. Can't just keep reading, because then I'm gonna miss this important idea that I just saw. So it's like, I don't know how people read so fucking fast. People read like a book a week. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, are they learning anything? Or are you just reading? I read so slow. Like, well, I read like at a normal person's rate, but what I'm saying is I consume information slow. That's what I'm saying. Does that make sense? Like, has nothing to do with the topic of the video, but um, I got the squirts, bro. I just watched Kingdom of the Planet of the Shits or whatever with the apes. First of all, movie made me feel some shit that like, was deep in there in terms of some primordial feelings that I didn't know I had, some itches that I didn't know I needed to get scratched. I was in there watching that fucking them monkeys do monkey shit, and I was like, whoa, It's pretty sick. But I will say I did miss like probably the first 5 to 10 minutes because I was shitting my brains out in the fucking bathroom, bro. Definitely pooping. And it was wicked, some righteous stuff. Whatever it was, probably my fault. Bad milk, bad eggs, bad chicken. Something I ate. Or it could have been the Mexican from yesterday. Could have been the meat. Who knows? Whatever it is, still fucking my stomach up. I'm not hungry. Well, I'm kind of hungry, but I know if I eat, it'll definitely hurt my stomach, so I'm kind of just waiting. I don't know what I'm waiting for, but I have some water here, so I'm going to try and consume that, because since it is the squirts, I'm losing hydration, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely need to rehydrate. Also, okay, so I've wanted to ask people this. Who drinks a fucking ton of water, like athletes or whatever, and, water bottles like this? Can you see this? You can totally see this. So, who out there drinks water bottles and stops, like, here? And then, like, you just have, like, 3 or 4 water bottles that are just stopped here. What the fuck is that? Is it just me? Like, I'm talking about stop. You don't know it. You subconsciously stop here. And then you leave the water bottle and get a new one. And you don't even realize. Like, right here, there's a threshold. And I have, like, probably, I could go in my room. You know what? Nah, that's a long-ass walk. I'm not going to do that. But I could probably go in my room and find a water bottle right now with that exact, amount of water in it. And it's so strange. Dude, this is such a cool, like, mystical vibe I got going. I think it's going to be super grainy and I'm going to be ghosty because I can see it. That's pretty cool. Let me see how the smoke looks. Alright, just looks like smoke. But, I don't know, I like this. This is pretty fucking cool. Grainy vibe. My face is kind of delayed. Poor camera's struggling. Cheap camera. But that's a cool vibe, right? I dig it. I don't even think you can see my mouth move, to be honest. Alright, what else? The vocal minority. The main weapon against it is inquisition. You have to think about if what they're saying makes sense. Anybody can say anything. I can say anything. You can say anything. But it's like, if it doesn't make logical, reasonable sense, don't trust it. And you're the one who makes that distinction. I don't know, just try and fuck, I dropped it. Just try and just make sure you're making the distinction at least. At least making it. At least thinking about it. Think about if things make sense. Don't just believe them. That can be hard to do if, for example, you consume too much content, which I at least did. I don't know if I do now. It's hard to tell. Do I consume too much content? One of the things I've done is, like, for Instagram, since I talked about that a couple videos ago, I only use Instagram exclusively on my computer. I don't know if I said that, but I exclusively use it on my computer so that I can still kind of connect with my friends and things like that, but it's not readily accessible on my phone, so I'm not, like, fucking always peeking at it, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's at least a middle ground so that you can use it and not be, um, drawn to impulsion. Impulsion? Am I saying that right? Been so you're not drawn to impulsivity. I don't know if it's impulsion or impulsion, but impulsion makes more sense, obviously, because this isn't German, so it's not impulsion. But yeah, vocal minority. It's just like it's the cancer, especially in communities. It doesn't matter what community it is. Like think of any community. You have to understand why their voice is heard. That's what it is. You have to understand why the voice is heard. Is it because of an algorithm? Is it because what they're saying actually makes sense? Is it because they're credible? Is it because it's controversial? Is it because of the content or because of the person saying the content? Like if it's because of the content, like dude, make sure they know what they're talking about and it makes sense. I'm not saying don't listen to people that aren't credible because that's just stupid. You have to listen to everybody. You have to at least listen to everybody. You don't have to agree, but you have to listen to everybody. There's people with no credentials who are fucking geniuses out there because they're just critical thinkers. So it's like just because they're not credible, don't listen to them. But what I am more so saying is just because it's loud doesn't mean it's right. So that's, a little obvious, but apparently also not. And I think it really definitely should be.